Crowdfunding, I tell everyone whenever I meet someone that's looking to launch a product for the first time, it's a great way to get the awareness out there. It's just like think of if you're building a shop, you're gonna invest in the bricks and mortar, and maybe make it look all pretty, get a really nice signboard done, do the inside of the shop, but how are you gonna drive people into your shop, right? You spent all that time building up a shop, but you need to now drive people through. And that's what crowdfunding is. You're building up a bunch of customers that are gonna buy your product or your service on day one. And it's a whole launch strategy. You're getting a whole bunch of early adopters. These are the people that use crowdfunding the most. So if I was to launch a product right now or a service, I'd always recommend doing crowdfunding because it's the best launch strategy. If you do it perfectly, you're initially spending a bit to build up the signups and things like that. But when you actually go live, it's a worthwhile experience because you've got the backers, you've got press, you've got a whole bunch of things that are going on with crowdfunding that's going to help you establish your brand for the long term. So that's why crowdfunding is really important. So when the press actually write about your product, it's going to make sure you get a lot of SEO because you've got a lot of higher ranking links that link into your website and your campaign. So you're getting a lot of people talking about your product. It just makes things a lot more easier when you start driving traffic later on. Because a specific percentage of people actually purchase crowdfunding projects. But then when you actually deliver your product or your service, you can advertise it to a lot more people and all these people will know about your product. So it makes your job much more easier that people will remember your project and be like, oh yeah, we saw these guys on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, or I remember seeing that video somewhere, and it just makes that process much more easier because people buy from companies that they trust. So, if people have seen your product, then they're much more likely to buy it the second or third time around once you actually release it. So it makes your life a lot more easier. It's also good in the sense that if you don't initially have the money to actually go into manufacturing, or you want to test whether your idea is a good idea, then crowdfunding is another way. Like a lot of people, they come up with idea, but they don't know whether they've got the right idea. So crowdfunding actually gives you people to provide feedback on how to improve your product. It also gives you an early fan base that's going to be very supportive, helping you through iterations, because then you can create a product that's customer centric. So it's very important to get that user feedback, and crowdfunding helps you do that. You want to make sure on day one that you've got a bunch of people that are going to be ready to go and buy your product. You want to make sure they're excited to buy on the dot. What this does, it creates a domino effect, with the platforms then going to be showing a lot more of your product on, prime spaces on the actual website. So it's very important that you've got a number of people that are ready to back you on day one. If you don't have a fan base, then you're leaving it to risk. So we wouldn't recommend, all you're doing is you're chucking up a product page. You're just hoping that somehow it gets there. And 99% of the time, it's not going to work. There's maybe been the odd 1% chance where it's succeeded. A project has succeeded because somehow a random media outlet has picked it up. But if your product value is above $50, then it's very hard to strike lucky because people need to see a product 2 to 3 times before they actually even decide to purchase it. So if people see your product the first time around and your product value is lower than $50, then it's quite easy for that to actually make you sales. But for the higher product values, people need to see it about 2 to 3 times because it's a harder choice to spend a higher amount of money. So a lot of the pre-campaign is about finding the messaging and the audience. A lot of times products, they just get the messaging or the audience wrong. They don't understand who is actually going to purchase this product. And that's very key in the pre-launch. A lot of time is spent behind the messaging, making sure the audience is primed and ready. A lot of the times projects fail is because they've got this messaging wrong or the audience wrong. So when a pre-launch campaign is done, the messaging audience are worked out. We deeply research each one of these categories to see who is most acceptable of the product. And then we build up a fan base around these audiences. So these are people that sign up on your landing page to be notified of your launch. Crowdfunding is very different from a normal online e-commerce store, because these are people that are prepared to wait a certain amount of time and give you money in advance. So this is a very small demographic. It's very different. It acts and behaves very differently from other e-commerce stores, or retailers, because their mentality is completely different. So another couple of great tips is making sure you work out whether your product is PR friendly. A lot of times there's a lot of companies out there that will charge extortionate fees for PR, but you need to work out whether your product is something really different. Is it just another phone case? In which case I wouldn't recommend hiring a PR company. If it's something really innovative, really different from what is already existing, then look at hiring a PR company or looking to hire someone to work with that product. You also got to work out how much you're looking to raise. If you're looking to raise over 50,000, then you probably should look into a marketing company, because you wouldn't go out and build a house based on YouTube videos or blogs that you've read. You'd go and find that expert. So that's why you should hire a marketing agency, because these guys would know how to be efficient. They know how to save you guys money. So that's the main thing. A lot of people think, oh, they can do it themselves, but you're leaving a lot to risk, and you don't want to suffer failure after spending all the money. You've spent a lot of money developing your product or your campaign in the first place, so why leave the rest of it to chance? I've seen people that just launch a campaign without doing anything. They expect to make millions, but they've done no research into what other similar campaigns have made. They don't even know what crowdfunding is about. They've not developed any fan base for the project as well. So when they launch, they're like, oh crap, crowdfunding doesn't work for me. Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Crowdcube, all rubbish, because I've raised zero and I've spent all this time putting a nice project page together. So that's what tends to happen from the people that don't know about crowdfunding. They get really angry because they don't realize what they have to do. They just think they have to chuck it up on there and they'll see money coming in. Other thing is as well, during the campaign as well, when a project's failing and it's got zero money or it's got very little money, you can tell straight away from the people that have done it properly and the people that haven't done it properly. The people that are funded or getting money coming in are the people that know about the process, have invested time and money into building up their fan bases. The ones that haven't, you can see because their funding is at zero, or they're very far away from their funding goal. Also, like, a lot of these people fall into a trap. They actually end up spending more money during the campaign than they would have if they did it properly. Because what they do is you get a lot of there's a lot of services out there which promise that they'll bring you money. During the campaign, you'll get bombarded by hundreds of messages daily saying we can do X, Y, Z for you, and you end up spending more money because you're in that mind frame of crap, my project is not working here. So you end up spending a lot more money during the campaign when it's failing, and you still won't succeed because a lot of these services don't deliver, and they're just full of spam bots and things like that. So you're actually spending money and you're just going to be in a loss, and crowdfunding is just not going to work for you. It's better to prepare before time rather than rushing ahead and spending all this money during the campaign. It's recommended that you do it pre-launch, so you're more thoughtful about the process and how it's all done. I think a lot of the times when you're actually running the campaign, you just need to be all hands on deck. You've got to be ready for all the constant messages that are going on. You've got to be able to think on your feet. Sometimes you may look at the campaign page, you may look at the conversions, things might go wrong, but you've got to be on your feet and proactive, not just reactive as well. So during the campaign, it's a case of, to grow your campaign, you want to try and maximize on your fan base. You want to keep pushing them to purchase if they haven't purchased. So sending them regular emails, doing social media updates to make sure that they know what's going on. There's also a bunch of other websites you can spread your information to. So Product Hunt's a really good one. You can post on Reddit, you can post on Upon, you can post on a lot of Facebook groups, which a lot of people don't do. There's a ton of Facebook groups out there with your specific niche. So it could be fans of football if you've got a football product. But what a lot of people do is they just go down the spammy route. So they'll just go, hey, look at me, guys, this is my product. But rather than that, why you should try and offer some sort of value. So go, hey guys, I've just created this football product. I wanted to get your guys' opinion. I'm not too sure about X, Y, Z. Can you guys give me some suggestions, or what do you think about this? And this builds up rapport with the people you're trying to target, rather than just being spammy. So that's probably one of the ways to engage with these Facebook groups. There's also a lot of forums out there you can get involved with. And once your products, after a week, it's really difficult to carry on driving traffic. So you need to spend money on Facebook ads, Google ads, maybe Reddit ads, maybe contact Instagrammers to try and promote your product, contact viral video channels, contact Facebook pages of gadgets or whatever is in your niche. There's all these guys and create some sort of referral deal to help you. You can also contact PR. There's so many there's so many press outlets out there, not just the big ones that you can think of, but like all around the world. There's examples. So one of the projects I worked on was Blocks, and these guys got a random article in a German magazine, and this led to about $20,000 worth of sales. There was another one based in Philippines, which got another similar amount. And, so there's a lot of different press outlets all over the world, and this should be your strategy from the second week onwards. So during the campaign, you should create lookalike audiences based on your previous signups, because Facebook will find what's in common with the audience list that you made. These are the people that are going to be most likely to purchase your product. It's very difficult to utilize Facebook ads from fresh during the campaign because you won't be getting as many sales. People think, they spend $100, they're going to get 10 sales. It doesn't really work like that. If your product value is $100+, or it's your product is valued at high enough, then you're going to need to spend more to attract that customer. So you need to work out your project margins very carefully to work out how to spend it properly.